Okay, so now in this section we will be learning about the production controls. If you are chef, you may already be aware of it. Even if you are finance, you still may be aware of the cost, the process. So the cost control process, the production control process, we are learning in three steps. One is the standard portion size. There is a standard portion size of every dish. They need to have a standard portion size, right? Standard portion size depend on your quality standards. What you are providing to the guest. What should be the size? What should be the garnishing? What should be the presentation? How it should be presented? What should be the portion service? So these all are different standards for each and every customer, each and every company, what they are providing to their customers. So the one job of the cost controller is to establish what is the standard portion size. The standard portion size will determine what is the recipe, standard recipe for the portion size, right? If the portion size is 250 grams, the recipe cannot be 100 grams. The recipe will have to be match the portion size, correct? So this is something which you need to establish, and this is the first step. Then the second step is the standard recipe, and the final standard is the portion cost, right? How you determine the portion cost. Once you know the recipe cost, then you can understand the portion cost. Once you know the portion cost, you will be able to understand the selling price, correct? So what is the difference between the standard portion cost, why you need to understand portion cost, and why you need to understand the recipe separately? Is there any relationship between the portion and the recipe? Why you need to understand the portion cost separately from the recipe cost? You cannot make the portion size directly. If your portion size of your fried rice is only this ball, can you make this ball? Cannot. Right? Normally you make more and then serve the balance of the portion. Some standard portion, right? So, and sometimes you cannot make only one. Sometimes you need to make 5 portions as a minimum. So the recipe is how you are producing it. Correct? Sometimes you need to make 5 portions, sometimes you need to make 10 portions at one time. But you are selling only one portion, right? So there is always a loss plus or minus usually when you are cooking, because you are cooking based on your experience. Or even if you are measuring, the more you cook, the lesser is the quantity, right? So it can be different. So when you are cooking, so standard portion size is the guest portion size, what you are going to serve to the guest. Then how you are going to make it? Maybe you make 5 portions at one time, 3 portions at one time. So the recipe will depend on what is the minimum cooking size, right? There is a minimum cooking size. Then you are going to good at get the recipe cost. How much will be the recipe? You will factor in the wastage, correct, of the recipe, and also the wastage of converting into the standard portion, because maybe you are able to make three portions, right? And then there is some leftover. After taking out the three standard portion, there is a leftover. What are you gonna do with the leftover? Nothing. Either you eat by yourself or the staff eat it, but you cannot sell to the guest. Correct. So your standard portion cost is comprising both waste while cooking, waste while serving also. Correct. Sometimes when you serve, you spill. You cannot serve 100%. Some days there's some leftover in the dish or the cooking dish, correct? So so you need to establish the standard portion cost based on first the standard size, then the recipe which is going to make that standard portion, the recipe cost, the wastage, and the serving loss. That will be your standard portion cost. Standard portion cost will become the basis to establish the price of the goods, right? So after considering all of these factors, you will be able to understand what is the selling price. Selling price is not just a factor of you take, okay, I will make 200 grams of this, 200 grams of this, 200 grams of this. No, you need to consider the waste of cooking and waste of serving. Out of these standards, we are not doing anything with the standard portion size. That depends on the company, right? We cannot do that. Now we're gonna learn what is the standard recipe. Standard portion cost is also very simple. It depends on how much is the recipe. So the main idea is recipe.